The most dangerous skill I ever learned was patience, and I did not understand that until everything fell apart. My name is Jonathan McCarthy, and at 67 years old, I had built a life that looked perfect from the outside. A quiet street, a respectable business, a long marriage. It all appeared solid. But appearances can hide rot, and mine had been spreading quietly for years before I finally chose to act. I lived in a tidy colonial house on a calm suburban lane where people waved from their driveways without ever really seeing each other. My wife Paula and I had raised our children there, built routines, shared meals, and created something that looked stable. From the outside, it seemed like the kind of life people envied. Inside, it had become hollow, a structure still standing but slowly emptying out. One Tuesday night in October, everything shifted into focus. Paula walked through the door a little after 11, carrying the smell of alcohol and something sharper, something careless. She stood in the kitchen doorway while I finished a bowl of homemade chicken soup and told me, without hesitation, that she had slept with her boss. She said it calmly, almost proudly, as if expecting the room to explode. I remember the quiet more than anything. The clock ticking, the refrigerator humming, the distant bark of a dog outside. I picked up my spoon and kept eating. That was not the reaction she expected. She wanted anger, tears, something dramatic enough to prove she still had control over me. Instead, she got silence and a man finishing his meal like nothing had changed. What she did not know was that I had already changed months before that night. I had noticed the signs long ago. The late nights that made no sense, the shift in her tone when she spoke on the phone, the absence that replaced our conversations. At my age, you do not rush into conclusions. You observe, you measure, and you prepare for what might come. Our business had been something we built together. McCarthy and Associates Property Management had grown from nothing into a steady, reliable operation. On paper, it belonged to both of us. In reality, that had not been true for a long time. 14 months before her confession, I had quietly started restructuring everything with the help of a skilled attorney who understood discretion. The process was careful and entirely legal. A new entity was formed, contracts were transferred, accounts were moved. Slowly, methodically, everything that mattered shifted into a structure that existed without her knowledge. By the time she stood in that kitchen and confessed her betrayal, she was technically still a co-owner, but only of something empty. I did not make that decision out of anger. It came from experience and a lesson my father had given me years ago after his own divorce left him with almost nothing. He told me that when everything ends, you should make sure you are the one who decides how it ends. I carried that advice with me for decades, waiting for the moment it might matter. The morning before her confession, I had already moved the remaining funds from our shared account, leaving behind a small, almost symbolic amount. The larger savings had been transferred gradually over months, each move documented, each step deliberate. Nothing rushed, nothing careless. By the time she realized what was happening, there would be nothing left to undo. After she went upstairs that night, I finished my soup, cleaned the kitchen, and stepped into the garage. I sat in my truck and allowed myself a few minutes to feel everything I had kept contained. Anger, disappointment, grief. Then I shut it all down. Emotion had no place in what came next, only clarity and execution. I returned inside, gathered the bags I had packed days earlier, and quietly carried them out. Important documents, personal belongings, and one irreplaceable item, a portrait of my mother. I made 3 silent trips, loaded everything into the truck, and drove away just after midnight. No note, no explanation. She had already given me everything I needed. The next morning, I knew exactly what would happen. A friend was watching from nearby and updated me as she moved through the house, turning on lights, opening doors, trying to understand what she was seeing. By the time she called me, her voice was controlled but uncertain. She tried to frame it as a misunderstanding, as something we could talk through. I told her to check the bank account and ended the call. I knew what she would find. I also knew that would only be the beginning. Within hours, she had contacted a lawyer, trying to secure control over what she believed was still ours. What she did not realize was that the real business no longer had her name attached to it at all. There was more, though. During my quiet investigation, I had uncovered something deeper than an affair. Money had been moving through our company to a vendor that did not provide any real services. Over several years, a significant amount had been siphoned away. I had documented everything carefully, waiting for the right moment to bring it forward. That moment came sooner than expected when a reporter reached out to me, asking about irregularities tied to that same vendor. It became clear that the situation was bigger than just my marriage. I provided the documentation, not out of revenge, but to protect my name and ensure the truth came to light. What followed unfolded quickly and publicly. An article was published detailing the financial misconduct, naming the people involved, including Paula and her boss. The legal consequences began to take shape almost immediately. Her attorney withdrew, unwilling to handle a case tangled with potential criminal exposure. The narrative she had tried to control collapsed under the weight of facts. The divorce itself was straightforward. There was little left to argue over. The house was sold, the proceeds divided, and she walked away with a fraction of what she had expected. The business, the real one, remained entirely mine. What happened to her after that was no longer my concern. Some consequences do not need witnesses. On the day everything was finalized, I drove past our old street one last time. I did not stop at the house. I simply watched from a distance as life continued the way it always does. People walking dogs, deliveries being made, routines carrying on. It felt strange, but not painful. More like closing a long chapter that had already ended in my mind. I did not feel victory. What I felt was something quieter, a steady sense of closure. I had seen what was coming, prepared for it, and faced it without hesitation. At 67, that was enough. I drove away without looking back, knowing that patience had not just protected me. It had given me control when it mattered most.